Hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for following me, subscribing, watching the videos. I'm trying to learn Rust, coming from a Python background. So this is really an introduction to the channel. You've hopefully all watched some of my short 4 to 6 minute videos, which focus on a very specific topic. I'm going to keep doing those. This video is more of a one-off, but hopefully if you've watched many of the other little short videos, this will give you a bit more of an overview of the direction of this channel and also give you some motivation or some enthusiasm to go off and explore other things. And also it might actually just give you, I'm not saying it's the right way, I'm not saying it's a good way, but I'll just show you a way, which is my way. Not to be confused with the famous song My Way. Don't be put off by the fact this says blockchain. To be honest, these days blockchain is a swear word in my dictionary. I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. I'm not going to bore you with that, but blockchain reeks of NFTs and scams. However, the underlying maths and the underlying code is still very interesting, and you can learn a lot from it, I think, at least. So I found this article on dev.to. It's a bit like Medium. I don't think you run out of views. Medium, obviously, you get 3 views per month, and then that's your lot. So I'm not going to go into what is a blockchain. You can read it here. You can read it on this article. I'll try and remember to put the link in the video. So really, this is an article showing you how to code a toy blockchain. And for me as a learner, a Rust learner, this is what I need, because I don't just want to go in at kind of professional level with all the frameworks. There's something called Substrate. I know Rust gets used with Solana and so on, but sometimes you need to learn to walk before you learn to run. So I'll come back to this code shortly. I'll just quickly scroll through it. Really, there's 2 files. There's blockchain and block, both with an RS file extension, which get compiled and then create a blockchain. You may, if you've watched a video on my Python 360 channel, you might have seen me actually running this, pretty much this code at the end. I can't remember which video it was. It doesn't matter too much. The focus of this video really is trying to unpick somebody else's code and get started, I would say. So very often you can find some code online and then you think, oh, that's amazing, or you end up just cloning it and you'll compile it or you'll run it and it works, and you're none the wiser really. All you've done is get clone and just run the code. So this is the crux, or this is the kernel even of this video. So what I've done, I've actually found this nice drawing software. I'm averse to Microsoft products, so I didn't really want to, well, not that I could, because I don't have a decent working Windows PC, but this is a nice way to do hand-drawn diagrams. Let's leave it there. And I wanted to visualize the code. It's all very well just having 2 files with lots of code in, but really I think you need to, well, I need to conceptualize what's actually going on into yeah, forgive the pun, but into building blocks. And what better example of building blocks that can you have than a blockchain? So again, this isn't going to be me teaching how to use teaching how to code a blockchain, partly because I can't. I'm not up to that level yet, but what I've done here is I've kind of broken down what I think are the parts that I need to get my head around, I need to wrap my brain around before I get going with making inroads into attempting to code a MVP, minimum viable product, the most minimal concept, proof of concept that I can for a blockchain. This actually, before I go into it, this is actually a proof of work blockchain. So yeah, if you're aware of I can't even say the word because it's rude, but ship coins, altcoins, Ethereum, things like that. If you're a fan of Ethereum, we're probably not going to get on, but that's my problem. Proof of work. So Bitcoin uses proof of work. Some of the other less decentralized cryptocurrencies use proof of stake. Anyway, the code contained within this example is proof of work. Before we go back, I just want to mention something. This was written by a person called Enoch Chaja from Nigeria, and they wrote it in, where's the date? Might be at the top. January 2022. And dated September 2022, we have got the same article and the same code, but it is on rustaudit.com, and somebody's basically plagiarized it. So Megan Fox, that's your real name, shame on you. You've just copied this and you've not credited the original author. I actually found it when I searched. So let's rewind. When I started looking at Rust and I had the aim of coding something to do with Bitcoin or a blockchain, I searched for blockchain and Rust. I found this article. I basically looked at this and one other, and I unpicked them, and I wrote down each line of code in my notebook. It's over there. You don't need to see it. Highlighted pen, each line. I made a note on a separate page of all of the methods, all of the functions, all of the things I didn't understand. And I wrote that list, and one by one I looked them up, and eventually I covered most of them off. I came back and I actually searched for blockchain and Rust again, and that's when I came to this page, which, as I say, is basically plagiarism. The one benefit being is that it's actually slightly neater or easier to read than this one. This has got all of the sidebar, and it's kind of yeah, it's quite a long article, and it's got all that other stuff. But yeah, if you did come on this page, I'm not a big fan of plagiarism because I think the original creator deserves credit. But yeah, either or. Anyway, what I've done is I have split up the block RS code with the comments, and I've put on the right the block and on the left the blockchain. So effectively a blockchain is a chain of blocks, and we've got a blockchain struct and a blockchain implementation, all of this bit on the left in red. We've got the block struct for the block and the implementation for the block, and that contains these functions. So new, which creates a new block, mine, which mines a block, and we've got generate the block hash. So with a little bit of knowledge about Bitcoin or blockchains, you can pretty much wrap your head around this. As a relative newcomer to Rust, structs, once you've done one or two tutorials, you'll be familiar with structs. Pub is because it's referenced in another file, so this here needs to be available in the other file. One thing which, if you've used Python, you'll be familiar with super when you're using classes. Here, use super, and within the blockchain RS code, there is something called use super :block : block. And what that allows you to do is use the block from the block RS. It allows you to use that struct within the blockchain RS. And here you can see is what he's done is actually said blocks equals vector of type block, and that type block is that block there, which comes from the block struct in the block.rs file. So it's fairly easy to understand. There's two files. One is the blockchain code, the other is the code that creates the block. And you can also see the block.rs file references the blockchain. Why does it reference the blockchain? I'm under pressure now and I can't remember why. Anyway, moving swiftly on. The blockchain file creates the Genesis block, which is the first block, and then we create all the subsequent blocks. We create, so new creates the first block, creates the blockchain, and then we've got add block, which adds the next one, and then the next one, the next one, the next one, so on. One of the things which I came across was, I think it was in this, was the difference between self, I think it's case sensitive, so it might not. Yeah, here we go. So if you're new to Rust, you might think, why is self sometimes with a capital S and sometimes a lowercase s? Your best bet is to read documentation, but put simply, I'll kind of summarize. When you use self with a capital S, it's syntactic sugar for actually using the name of the implementation or the name of the struct. So it just saves you writing that again. So what we're doing here is we're creating new, and it's returning self, which is syntactic sugar for blockchain. So we're returning a new instance of type blockchain. And this is quite common within Rust, where you create an instance of a struct from a function within the implementation which shares the name of the struct. So self is syntactic sugar. So the rest of the article, it concentrates on create a new block. So the new block we've got, it references, you're passing in self nonce, which is a number used once. Yeah, pushes, so add new block is using push. If you're familiar, if you're coming from Python, so you'll know about pop and you'll know about append, but in Rust it's push and pop. So you create a new block and then the block gets mined, basically. And then for the mine function, you're passing in the blockchain. And then what it's doing is it's trying to find a hash which has the same amount of zeros or more. If you turn it around the other way, you're looking for a number that's smaller or the same size as the number that's required. Pubmod block, pubmod blockchain. You put these into mod.rs, and then that makes the functions available from each file in the other file. Again, I'm not here to bore you with these details or try and teach you them. I'm not teaching. What I'm trying to do here is show how I've gone about breaking down some code which I found, which I'm trying to learn from. I've kind of broken it down into blocks, and I've tried to break it down into easy to understand pieces, which then I can then go and learn, understand, recreate quite simply by myself. Maybe come back and refer to this, but I think this is a very good starting point, and 2 files, blockchain RS, block RS. And by going through all of this code rather than a tutorial, it forces you to learn things which you probably wouldn't come across in a tutorial, in a beginner's tutorial, should we say. So also the dependencies. So far in most of the tutorials, or the little short ones that I've put on YouTube, I've not really focused very much on the TOML files, but if you try this, you may find that some of these are out of date, or they don't. You get issues with them. If you go to the bottom of this article, the original one, you'll find the link to GitHub, the source code. I'd strongly encourage you to actually use this code rather than the code from the tutorial. I think this was updated more recently. It says last year, so yeah, January 2022. There are some slight differences, presumably issues which have been fixed. SHA-256, SERDI, serialize, deserialize. Those are to, and chrono, obviously to do with time, because time is important, because you need to know UTC now, timestamp, milliseconds. Yeah, so what I really wanted just to show you was how I go about breaking down someone else's code, trying to visualize it, trying to make sense of it as logs. So sorry for the pun, and I'll be back next time probably with some shorter little mini tutorials. Let me know if you prefer the shorter ones, or if you'd like to see some sort of small mini size or small projects going forward. I will be attempting some, but they probably may not make the best videos unless I edit them down and fast forward through some of the pauses and the bits where I Google stuff and so on. So yeah, let me know. And in the meantime, just thanks for watching. Thanks for the thumbs up and the likes. And yeah, let me know if there's something you'd like me to cover. And yeah, thanks for watching.